funny though. Yeah, every time I've ever had to record, I like sit there a few minutes, psyching myself up.
All right, let's begin. Mitch. No, just kidding.
Throw me under the bus first, huh?
No.
Yeah. Okay. We can do this.
It's amazing that when we talk, we don't and ah and stumble on our words, but as soon as we start doing this shit, then
Yep.
I struggle.
Yeah. Even when you do your webinars and stuff?
No, I don't think about it too much because there's people on the call, but it does. It's nervous. I can get nervous.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We'll have to get some I would like to have theme music or something like that. Try and make this feel a bit legit. We'll
Okay.
We'll see.
Sure.
Oh, we need new shirts, mate.
I know, mate. I'll be onto it. Once we figure out this, if we're down with the logo, I'll sort them out.
Yeah. All right. We'll figure.
I think we are with the logo, right? Does Nicole like the new one?
I haven't actually shown her. I will have to send that to her later.
Sure.
But yeah, we'll see. All right, let's just do it. Hang on. Let me...
Mate, I'll lead it. Come on, calm down. I'll lead it if you need me to.
Do we want So, in that Build Your SaaS, they have just a standard thing that they say at the start. Welcome to Build Your SaaS, and this is our journey of blah, 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 whatever. Do you want to have anything like that? Because we would have to, if we want to start it, I'm not trying to add roadblocks here. If we want to do that and have a recurring thing, it would be good if we had that from now.
Then we should have thought about that on Wednesday. So,
all right, no worries.
How about this is the beginning in 3, 2, 1. Mitch, let's start a podcast, hey?
I like it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. I guess I'll introduce myself. My name's Mitchell Davis. I'm a developer. I live in Sydney, Australia. Gavin?
Yep. Well, I'm Gavin. My name's Gavin Ty. I'm a B2B SaaS sales strategist in a nutshell. And I'm based in Queensland, Australia. We thought we'd start this podcast to document our building of a B2B SaaS business, right? And I think we're going to call it, Mitch, our B2B SaaS journey, right? And we're going to share the highs, the lows, what we're thinking, mistakes we made, the lessons we've learned, the wins we've had. I think we're going to try and be as candid as possible, right? Without giving away our competitive advantage and what we see as our niche in the market, right? Which is a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, we do have to hold some things back, but I really like other shows in this space where they're as transparent as they can be, and I want to kind of do something in that tradition and contribute something back there.
Yep.
So,
and many founders that I know have wished that they had have done something from the beginning, and they start maybe 2 or 3 years in, and then they forget some of the key nuanced lessons that they've learned along the way. And this is our attempt to help others out there in the future who may or may not listen, to maybe help their journey a little easier over time. So
yeah, that's right.
Mate, let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Well, firstly, what's the business called, Gavin?
Business is called SixSides, right?
Okay.
We're it's a whole journey of what we got to this name SixSides, but basically we want to help people who run events build out or better service every side of the event community, which has got 6 sides to it, which we'll talk about that a little later.
Yep.
But I guess today, Mitch, let's talk about how we found each other, how you come up with the idea, because this is your idea, how we found each other and why we decided to go on this together. I think that's probably a good start, right?
Let's do it. So,
what's your background, Mitch?
Well, I'm a developer. I've been working with Laravel specifically for a long time now, probably 10-ish years. And the story of how this all came to be was I gave a talk at Laracon, Australia, last year, November 24. And for that, I was the topic that I put forward was building mobile apps.
Hey, can you hear the lawnmower in the background?
Yes. We might be able to do noise reduction.
Yeah, it's the best I can do. But anyway, yeah, keep going, mate.
Let's see.
Oh, we're not going to edit this anyway, so everyone's going to hear it. Yeah, unedited. Yeah.
Is that that's our thing, our trope, is we don't edit it. It's
Raw.
in, it's in.
Yep.
All right. Well, continuing on. So I was giving a talk for teaching people about building mobile apps, and I was really trying hard to think of an idea of an app that I could present to people and have them actually install on their phones during the conference. And I didn't want it to just be like some toy app that, like a to-do list or something like that, where they're just going to immediately throw it away after my talk. Or they just straight up might not want to install it in the first place because it wasn't compelling enough. So I was like racking my brain for months, basically, trying to figure out like, what's something cool that I could be building, and then it kind of clicked. The obvious answer is build an app for the conference, because everyone there has come to this conference, and having an app, sure, conferences typically will have a website which will have like the schedule on there and the list of speakers and things like that. But I knew from my experiences at prior conferences that having to constantly go on the website, and maybe the internet's a bit slow or whatever, like it's not great. So I ended up just taking like a screenshot of the schedule and just referring to that if I wanted to see who was coming up. So it got me thinking, like, this could be way better as an app, and then that would give me a really good opportunity to get onto people's phones and do some like cool some things that I thought were cool, at least, as far as like taking photos. And somehow I had this vision of like, can I have it so that when people take photos from this app, they appear behind me on stage as I'm giving my talk. That was like a huge part of what I wanted to do, and I was able to do it. And the video's on YouTube. Maybe we can put that in the show notes. But as I was kind of building out this app, it became clear to me that, wow, there's like a big opportunity here of making a really great experience for all of the attendees, was who I was primarily thinking about. So giving them links to go and like look at some of the networking things. So we have like a Slack group where a lot of our developer community is in, or like I had launched a previous project called Laramates, and it's this profile site for developers, Laravel developers. And so being able to add like links to these things which might be relevant for the attendees was huge. And then that got me thinking about, well, I'm already interested in like profile stuff, like with Laramates. What if you had profiles inside of the app? So for each attendee, being able to go in, make their own profile, and Michael Dorinda, who runs Laracon AU, specifically had like a big focus on networking that year. So he was adding like extra events to the schedule, extra networking events and things like that. And so it kind of tied in really well in the app. So we added some features that suited attendees, and then that got me thinking about, well, there's other people that are going here as well, like speakers, like myself in this case. What would I want to see? So I then added this ability for speakers to be able to go in and basically add information about their talk, so that might be relevant links or sharing slides, things like that. And it all kind of just, I spent a few months on this in the lead up to the conference, just trying to like think through, okay, what are some ways that I can make a really compelling experience for these attendees at the event, right? So that's kind of where we got to. We added some other things, added lots and lots of things in the lead up to this conference, but ultimately the app went really well. And I got so many people that came up during the conference and then after, sending me messages or coming up, shaking my hand, saying, wow, this is awesome, or specifically talking about the app and not just about my talk that I gave, and how it helped them break the ice. And there's a bunch of things that we'll probably get into in maybe in later episodes, but yeah, just it was such a great experience, and all the great feedback that I got from people about the app specifically had me thinking like, this is something here. There's something. So that's when I reached out to Gavin. So Gavin, I don't know if you want to take it from there.
Yeah, there's some interesting points I have, questions I have about that, but I'll come back about the development part. But yeah, you come to me and said, hey, look, I've done this event app for a conference. And my first thought was, I've been at many conferences before, and I know that the event app space is really, really crowded. And I'm like, I'm building my business. I've got a side business as well called Sales Market Fit. And I'm like, I don't want to get distracted from that. But because we know each other we've known each other for the last few years, I'll have a look at it. And then you showed me, and it was interesting, really interesting. There's a few key bits of functionality on there that I was like, I haven't seen that at a conference before. Let's explore what this might look like. And yeah, that's kind of where we are today, right? And I've known you for a couple of years, and my observation is, Mitch, is that you have seemingly really great ideas about how to build stuff, but your sales, how to sell them or how to get clients to buy is an area that you're not comfortable in pursuing. And it's one of the biggest lessons I've learned being working with startups or working in startups is if you need to have complementary skills there. Otherwise, doesn't matter how good something is that you build, if you can't get it in front of the right people and position the right amount of value, then it's just not going to get taken up. But people don't automatically buy things, especially in the B2B space, and that's what we're trying to address, right? So
for sure. So yes, you are absolutely right. I would not say I'm not being egotistical about my ideas. I'll move on from that part. But the second part of like, your sales aren't so great. It's just not my forte. It's not my strong suit.
It's not a skill that you can pick up in 6 months. You can get by, but it's a soft skill in many different ways. And I'm trying to turn that into more of a science-based approach. But it's not something that you can just pick up. If your whole life is you aren't comfortable speaking to people and putting something out there and trying to get them to buy it, you just don't automatically switch over and go, yeah, I'm comfortable now. Like, it's still daunting.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, right? How many smart developers who have great ideas developers out there that have great ideas and just put something together like what you did for Laracon, but just don't know what to do with it? And there must be so many great ideas out there, but they'd have no way to get it in front of their ideal market or even know how to even begin to approaching it.
Yes, I think there's a lot. I certainly, like, you come across projects, on Twitter or Blue Sky or whatever from other developers or GitHub where it's like, oh, cool, okay, somebody's built this cool thing, and, by the very nature of you, like me, seeing this tweet or whatever it is, like, they are doing some marketing. They are putting themselves out there and saying, hey, I made this thing, maybe you want to check it out. It's kind of doing that, very easy, right? That takes like 5 seconds to put something out. But it's then all of the stuff that comes after that. It's the getting it out to the media, if you want to get this thing onto some, news publication or whatever. Or it's like reaching out to certain people that you think might be great customers for it, or different influencers that maybe could help sell this thing to their audience or whatever. Like, all of that stuff, I don't think I'm an introvert. I just don't have like that gene in me, or that skill in me. And I don't enjoy that stuff. It's not so much even just about like, oh, it's too hard, I can't do it. It's like, I don't enjoy it. I don't get a lot of like personal satisfaction out of doing the outreach and like promoting myself. Basically, it's kind of an extension of that, right? And I don't really like doing that. I'm not a big social media user. So like in our previous experience of you helping me, with marketing for my other business, Atlas Software, we're a consulting business. And it's hard. It's awkward. So totally. There's a lot of people that are in, I can only assume, that are in the same position in, developer struggle to sell the thing that you built and put a lot of time into.
Yeah. And I can imagine your mindset, I'm going to assume, is probably you're spending a lot of your free time, even when you're not working, thinking about how to build stuff. I'm always thinking about, are we doing the right thing and positioning value? Are we, do we know the buyer's journey well enough? Are we working hard enough to prove the value? Who do we go to, like in the early stages? So it doesn't make sense. They're two different parts of the brain, I think. So that makes sense.
Totally. And it's cool to think that, like, because you're right, 100%. Like if I'm at home or, on weekends or whatever, I might have an idea and I'm like, oh, okay, I might just go build that now and maybe I can knock something out in like an hour. It's cool to think that, like, you're also doing that, but it's your version of that in your like area of expertise,
Mel, my wife, she's like, what do you like? Because I'll think about something a long time before I figure out the right strategy. And she's like, you're not working. You're like, just go and start working. Okay, you need to position it. It's not like that. It's a lot of it's in for salespeople or good salespeople. It's in our head. How do we get in the head of our audience, and how do we actually help them with what they're trying to achieve in their business? And it's a lot of empathies are needed for that, and trying and not being afraid to fail. So it's Mate, let's talk about how we. Yeah, sorry.
A lot of the time you're just sitting around not doing anything, right? Is that
That's
what
lots of people do, mate? Yeah. We're strategizing. That's it. Yeah. Mate, let's talk about how we met each other and how we chose each other, like to go on this journey.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really curious to hear what your perspective was of meeting me, because I know how I felt. So maybe you could set this up.
Yeah, so I was working as an enterprise salesperson for a software company here in Australia, and there's someone that I worked with at a recruiting company years ago. His name was Ian Goodyear. Shout out to you, mate, if you happen to watch this. And I was chatting to him about police checks, because it's what we were selling at the time. And he said, oh, I know someone that works for a big, he's a developer. He might be doing some other stuff in his business. He might need help with your side business, which was Sales Market Fit. And I said, okay, well, let me see if I can reach out to him. And it was actually for police checks for this other company you work for. And then we got to chatting. And I thought that you were talking about this it's a big opportunity, what it was. That's why I was hassling you, because I could see that it was a big opportunity. And then we just started talking, and then that kind of fizzled out. I didn't stay at that company. Then we just started talking about your business and helping you promote it and what my plan was. And I knew that most developers aren't comfortable for selling, and that's what I've been trying to do. My focus is helping founders, original focus is helping founders be better at sales and controlling their destiny. Yeah. And you have been resistant to that from day one. Like when I was relentless in trying to keep your feet to the flame and making you do it. And then I was like, I pushed too hard. You disappeared. You just went away. So, but I know what's going on in your mind. So I was like, okay, he'll come back when he needs to.
And it's true. I did. Yeah. That's exactly right. But well, now with that in mind, I can tell my perspective. You were a pain in the ass originally, because what it was, in a good way. I wasn't like, oh, this fucking guy. It was just like, oh, okay, here's Gavin, and he's a bit persistent. So yes, as I got an email from someone about, hey, can you speak with this person at this company about police checks, and it was basically just like can you get this off my list, was like the way that it came in, right? And so I was like, yeah, okay, all right, I guess I'll have a call with this person. Like maybe there's an opportunity here. Like we already, in this other business, we already had a police check provider that we were fairly happy with, but maybe there was a commercial advantage or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get this email, and then you and I think we got on a call. I don't remember if, like video or whatever, but yeah, I got to see you, and then we were chatting it through, and the process of like the police check stuff took like a few months, I think.
Yeah, it was silly. The people in the business that I work for wouldn't pay attention to it. And within a couple of minutes of us meeting, I knew that you would be sensitive to revenue generating. And that's what my whole focus was in us working. You're like, oh, what? I can make a couple of extra bucks on a police check. And with the volume, I knew, being a one-person show, I knew that you would move on that.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I couldn't get, the business wouldn't pay attention to it. And it was really, really frustrating. Sorry.
And this is like, you're very insightful, or like very...
perceptive?
Yeah,
Smart,
perceptive.
good looking. There's a few of them. Maybe put that in the comments. Make it...
Tell Gav what you think of him. See how you go. Anyway, so yes, going through that whole process and like getting to see firsthand as your target, I guess, of like the sales of experiencing that, I was like, Gavin's really persistent. And that, while I said at the start, like, it was a bit of a pain in the ass because it was just like, it's this long, drawn-out process, and like, this isn't all that important to me. Sure, it might be nice to make a little extra money, but it was a bit painful. But I could just see you were, like, constantly following up, hey, where are we at? Or, like, answering questions that I had. Like, you were perfect as far as sales goes. So my perception shifted of you from, like, this guy's a pain in the ass, to like, this guy's like really good. And then you were telling me about, hey, I'm actually looking to go out and do this sales market fit. And so you were then asking, like, would you like to come on board, be a part of this cohort? And so this was effectively like sales and marketing training for, now from my perspective, sales and marketing training for me as a founder. And so it was great. And we did this course, and it was for like a year or so, I think, 6 months maybe originally. 6 months, and it was fantastic. So I got to see Gavin each week, basically, a couple times a week, as a part of this cohort. And you're right, I was like very resistant. Sales is not my thing, and like promoting myself and like, oh, we're the best and da-da-da. Like, it's just not my thing. And so I did struggle with it. It certainly helped me like change my mindset on, doing outreach and trying to find customers and suiting their needs and all of that sort of stuff. But it was really clear, like, okay, you know what you're doing really well with this.
Yep.
And so then a few years later, we get to this SixSides and this event app for Laracon, and I kind of built it in a way, the underlying like backend, the code, I built it in a way where I wasn't just building this for Laracon. I was building this for any generic event, and Laracon was just one, like the first instance.
Yeah.
And so, then as soon as I gave the talk and got the feedback from the app, and I reached out, I was thinking about, I talked with Nicole, my fiance. I was like, I think I want to bring this to Gavin. Like, I would love to see you do all of the sales marketing stuff for this instead of me having to do it myself and like probably doing it badly. And like, it's like, it's the student and the teacher. If I could get the teacher to do it, fucking oath, that's amazing, And so I talked about it with Nicole, and then we got on the phone, and I was like, mate, I've got this thing for you. And then, it ties into everything we talked about earlier. Yeah. And we went through like a bit of a period there of trying to figure out, okay, how might this work and da-da-da. But it was great. And I could just tell, like, from that first phone call, you had so many insights of like, oh, yeah. So from the attendee's perspective, it's this. And then, a sponsor might be interested in that. And how does this all work together, and all of this stuff that I just wasn't. You just frame things differently than I do. I'm fairly happy with like the original work that I did on, trying to meet the different sides of who's going to actually be at Laracon.
Yeah.
But you have then just taken it to another level, being able to kind of merge in a lot of different facets across all the different sides of the community. And that's kind of how we got to this name, SixSides, because there's the 6 different sides of the community, right, that go to an event.
So, well, thanks for those words. My thoughts of that is you spent, 3 to 4 months building out the first version of, at the time, it was called Event Kit, which is a shirt you've got on, which is dying a slow death. My wife is still mourning the name. She's not quite on SixSides yet.
We'll get her.
But if we just focus on it as a product, any competitor can theoretically catch us in 3 to 6 months, right? If they see it. But if we focus on fundamental first principle behavior and requirements of each side of those, and our intention is to address the why it's important to people, I think that is more defendable. That is where we create, in my opinion, is real competitive advantage. And that is very hard to defend because people don't necessarily understand the why behind it. They just know what we're doing or how we're doing it. And it's very surface level. And you mentioned before when you mentioned before about when we were working with this other business, the sales friction, the friction to buy was way too high. And I got that. I was like, halfway through that sales process, I was like, no, this doesn't make sense to me. She's going to pull out here. And I would too, because it's not easy. But our goal is if we can tie into the why now with SixSides of why it's important to a conference to pay attention to this kind of functionality to help all their community, then that will in turn, as long as we can prove it, it will lower the friction and should make it easier in theory for us to get market adoption, which is our early traction suggests, or our early interaction suggests that we are on the right path, that we just need to, we're starting from scratch building all this out, but it's really interesting. And on a side note, it's been so good working with a partner, because Sales Market Fit is, I'm just a solo founder and you're the solo founder with Atlas. I'm good at sales and marketing and structuring messaging and the fundamental first principles, but the operational side is that stuff. I can't shift mindset that quick. Yeah. And it's been so good when we're going, hey, we need to do a website or change the name or do a logo, and you go like, got it, I'm onto it. And I'm like, oh, how much of a relief is this to be able to hand that off? And I think we have complementary skills in that. And I think we've been doing it since before Christmas now, and it's been it's been exciting. I definitely think 1 + 1 is equaling 4 here, or 5, without us working together.
I completely agree. It is amazing the peace of mind I have of okay, we need some new document or something like that for a prospect or whatever. I know that you're on it, and I'm to be clear, I will more than happily get involved and help and stuff, but I know that you're setting up meetings. You'll send me a message like, hey, you free, tomorrow afternoon or whatever, I've got this meeting with so-and-so if you want to hop on. Or we might have had a meeting scheduled already in the calendar, and then you're like, I can probably do this one on my own if you like. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. Because I would love to just spend more time in the code or working on the product or, thinking about different things. And it's such a relief. And we have different, I am a bit more design minded, I think, as a developer. A lot of us are very just just
hurts
code.
Me.
Hey, I'm not comparing against you. I'm just saying, as a developer, I'm also I fancy myself a little bit of a design-minded person. Yep. And so you have given me, there you go, a bit more free rein to just express that. So you're providing feedback and stuff on things that I'm coming up with, but you have given me a lot of rein there to just yep, okay, go ahead and let's, so on documents and stuff, a point that really jumps out to me was we were preparing this feature list document for a prospect, and you went through and you kind of put it all in this this table format, and then you were like, hey, check this out, make any changes that you want. And then I saw it and I was like, okay, don't send this off until I've had a second to like really get in and play with it. So I did. I spent some time on it that night, and then again next morning. And then you looked at it at like midday next day. I forget exactly what you said, but you called me and you're like, "Wow, this looks so different. It looks so much better." Like, you're right. Yeah,
okay, granted, I'll give you that. Yeah, yeah, I'll give you that.
we do really have the complementary skills. So that's been huge and so different from working in Atlas, where I am the sole director, and so having to just kind of do all of the running of the business on my own. It's such a different story with a co-founder.
Yeah. And I think one of our key strengths, Mitch, and I haven't spoken to you about this before, is we've known each other for a long time now. We're coming up on 3, maybe 4 years, and I think our communication is really strong, and we have had some little bits of conflict, but we go away and we don't throw our toys out of the cot. We talk it through, and I think that's really important, right? We will have disagreements, and we just don't be childish. We're being actually quite logical about it. And I also think there's actually 4 people in this business, whether 2 are not really part of the day-to-day, but that's my wife and your fiancée, Nicole. So, and out of that, we're making a plan to actually introduce everyone on next week on a call, because they will have an influence, and like it or not, they will form a large part, and they want to know that I'm sure it's important to Mel. She wants to know that I work with good people, especially in this. If we're going down, if we're tying our future of our family to this, she wants to know that they're good people, and she already knows that you are. But she also wants Nicole to know, and we want Nicole to know that we are too.
Oh, wait till we meet Nicole. She's horrible. I won't share this episode with her.
She will watch. I'm going to send it to her. I guess, mate, we're probably sitting at around half an hour now. So what is our plan for this podcast? Like, I could tell you what my perspective might be, and then what are you thinking, if that works?
Yeah, go for it.
So to me, I'm thinking about how do we build. Well, first and foremost, how do we get traction? How do we get initial traction, right? If we just said we're an event app, there are a million events around the world. We theoretically have 10, 20, 50,000 contacts or clients we could go for that theoretically run events, some type of event. But that is too many. We need to bring it down into a niche.
Yep.
So I'm bringing it down. I'm trying to find a niche. Now, I've read a book called The Cold Start Problem, and I'm actually using that, not as a framework, but that's actually gave me a key insight. I'm narrowing it down at the moment into the Queensland, the state of Queensland, into a specific community, to try to get some traction, because everyone knows each other, and I've spent a lot of time in there in the recent years mentoring and stuff like that. So to me, my initial thing is how do we get people to start buying and being really excited about what we currently have, what you've delivered for Laracon last year, and then out of that we need to plan out what does the evolution of the platform lead to. But I also don't want to lead with that too much, because otherwise people will wait till tomorrow to buy. And so I'm trying to find the markets where we currently have product market fit, is essentially what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, on my side, like, things coming up is continuing to evolve the technology. We've got lots of visions of different features, functionality that we want to build out. Yeah. I want to make a bunch of infrastructure changes. Maybe we can talk about those in future episodes.
Oh, riveting. Yep.
It will be for some people.
Yeah.
So, again, shout out in the comments, or message me if you are actually interested in the technology. But anyway, that's what I kind of see coming up. We're continuing to evolve our branding and our website, and like that's all kind of part of my remit. So getting all of that happening and really putting you in the best position to be able to sell this business and this solution out to these events. So,
And just so if people are listening, but probably no one's going to listen to this one, is we are bootstrapping it, right? We both have our own businesses, and we are aiming to bootstrap it at least for the next period of time. And because we have that luxury to do that. So I guess if anyone does have any topics that they would love to know, maybe they're thinking about it, either reach out to us or just put it in the comments and say what topics that you would like us to maybe talk about or anything like that. We will put in an email address where if you have any questions you can reach out, and we will be trying
those
to
will go to Gavin, by the way,
being as honest as we can. So what'd you say, mate?
I said those will go to you, by the way.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I guess as we draw it to a close for this one, if you're listening on a podcast app, if you could give us a 5-star rating, write a comment there, that would be awesome, because it does help, as far as I know, helps boost it and get it in front of other people. And if you're on YouTube, give us a like or a subscribe, all of that sort of stuff. You can reach out to me. I'm on Blue Sky, mitchdav.is. It's Mitch Davis, but there's a dot before the IS.
We'll put the links down below.
Yep, we'll do that. What about you, Gavin? Where can people find you?
I live in the Gold Coast.
Share your address.
You can find me on LinkedIn. Or we'll put up an email address in a comment down below.
Too easy. All right. Well, thanks, Gavin. This has been great, and we'll catch you on the next one.
See you, mate.